Welcome, everybody. I'm Dr. Luann Fortune with Saybrook University, and I am delighted to welcome you today to Mindfulness Moments, where we have a special event planned. Today, we will have a 1-hour Qigong workshop, and it is my delight and pleasure to introduce Dr. Ruthann Russo. Many of you know Dr. Russo because she is on the faculty of Mind Body Medicine. She teaches with us as an adjunct faculty member and is currently teaching the Mindfulness, Meditation, and Health course along with Dr. John Patterson. She has a very impressive resume CV background in many different academic and professional settings. And in addition to being a practitioner, she is an acupuncturist. She is also a Qigong instructor, and she's here today to share her wisdom and her skills with us. Dr. Russo, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Fortune. I am happy to be here. Hello, everyone. I just want to give you a quick overview of what we'll be doing for the next hour. I would like to share some theory, some concepts around Qigong before we get started, so you have that as a bit of a foundation. And then that'll be about the first 10 minutes or so. I'll share a PowerPoint with you, and then I will take the PowerPoint down and we will get right into practice. Please just keep in mind that it's wonderful if you can follow along, and it's also wonderful if you just want to sit back and listen and take it all in. Whatever is available to you now is exactly what you should be doing for this practice. And I'll give you some minor modifications here and there. And also, please, if you have questions at any point in time, let me know. If you're not getting one of the movements, one of our Qigong postures or movements, and you have a question, even though we'll be in the middle of the practice, it's totally fine, because if you have a question, chances are somebody else does as well. Okay, so I am going to share my screen. All right, so welcome again. We're going to just talk about Qigong for a little bit. Qigong and its foundation in traditional Chinese medicine and Taoism. I did want to start just by acknowledging the fact that we are spending time with a practice that is an indigenous practice. It's a practice of a traditional medicine. And I'd like to just read this just as a way to show reverence to the practice. I do address principles of traditional Chinese medicine and Taoism in this presentation. They both rely upon indigenous methods, primarily from China. And I do acknowledge and honor the deep history and roots in the theories and practices in this presentation, and share them with you with reverence for their history and their creators. And I did create this presentation while standing on a ceded part of the earth that was initially inhabited by the Lenape Native Americans. Okay, and please, again, if you have questions while we're moving through this, let me know. And Dr. Fortune, if you could just let me know if there's questions, because everybody's kind of small on my screen, that would be wonderful.
Will do.
Thank you. So our objectives are to just take a quick peek at the history and theory of Qigong and the relationship between Qigong, this mindful movement practice, and the energy body. And then we will move forward once we have looked at all that information, and we'll spend some time in a Qigong practice. And this is Qigong for healing. There are different kinds or types or approaches to Qigong. We will be focusing on movements that are predominantly focused on healing, self-care, wellness, etc. And our practice will involve breathing, some visualization, gentle movement, and also sound. So sound to the extent, and we'll practice this before we leave this part of our time together, sound to the extent that you can feel the vibration within you when you're actually repeating the sound. And that'll make more sense when we get to the last slide. So Qigong. Qigong actually means Qi is energy, energy, life force energy, and Gong is a skill. So when we look at the term Qigong, it's essentially a skill to cultivate energy. It's really about working with life energy and learning how to control the flow and distribution of that chi or energy, ultimately to improve our health and to live in harmony with our bodies and with the world around us. And so, with that said, imbalance is actually believed to be the root cause of any abnormal symptoms from a TCM, a traditional Chinese medicine perspective. So what does that mean? It basically means that this symbol that you see here, everybody's familiar with the yin yang symbol, but really that's at the essence of Taoism and of TCM, that darker colored with a thicker piece of the section on the left side of the symbol represents yin, and yin is feminine, it's grounded, it's the mountains, it's the solid organs. And then the other piece that comes together with the yin is yang, and yang is kind of airy and fiery, and it's the hollow organs. And so together, what this symbol shows us is that, number one, there is a piece of each of the other in the other. So you see, even though yin is black, you do see that white, what would be white if this was a true picture here. That little white circle that represents yang within yin, and then the same for the black circle, the little black circle above, right? That represents yin within yang. And so some of these concepts, these yin and yang concepts that are also embodied in a Qigong practice, are the concepts of everything is relative to what's going on at the moment and to everything around you. So for example, you might be hot, but it might be cool compared to a blazing fire. That kind of relativity is really kind of embodied in this yin yang symbol. And everything does contain the seed of its opposite, as we just talked about. And then also everything follows a cycle, because what you see here is, yes, the biggest part of that yin symbol, the yin piece on the bottom, the dark color, right, is thick, but you see that it's kind of waning away as it moves up towards the top, waning away, and in the cycle becoming yang, and then yang becoming yin. And it's basically a never-ending cycle. And the idea is to keep this balance. This is obviously perfection, probably never actually possible, but to keep this balance, this from a theoretical perspective, but also within ourselves. And here's a very old, from the Tao Te Ching and Lao Tzu, a very old phrase, verse about Qigong, by harmonizing the yang and the yin and embracing the one, which also shows us the spiritual component. So yes, Qigong is about the energy and the energetic self, but it's also touching the spirit as well. So embracing the one by concentrating the chi or vitality and inducing tenderness and purity, you become supple and free like a little child. So yeah, and for anybody that practices meditation, some of that also relates back to beginner's mind. And so Qigong essentially interfaces with, energizes the energy body, and the energy body then impacts the physical body. And all of this together is in fact also impacted by the spirit, right? This, if you want to think of it as a spiritual body, that works as well. But yeah, so it's because what's happening in Qigong is we are cultivating that Qi from the outside to the inside. And it's that Qi, that source Qi, that we're actually reaching for. And that is the spirit. That is what Lao Tzu in the prior slide referred to as the one. So we'll just take a quick peek at the sources of energy. Since Qigong works with our energy, we want to understand, what are those sources of energy? And I'll take just a quick peek through this. So certainly our breath, and we're all aware of that. Everybody here at Saybrook, we start all our classes with some form of a practice that usually involves breathing, right? So the breath and what we can do with that breath can have an impact on our energy level. And then, of course, our thoughts, our emotions, and our beliefs. All of these are sources of our own energy, not to mention pretty much everything that we metabolize. So, what we eat, who we interact with, the world, the environment around us, we are metabolizing that on an ongoing basis. And to the extent that we can engage in practices like Qigong and many of the practices, obviously, that are part of life here at Saybrook University, to the extent that we can actually regularly engage in these kinds of practices, this whole idea of energy coming at us that is, let's say, negative or not the kind of energy that we would actually want to take into our bodies and allow it to kind of take residence or fester inside of us, right? We can actually better manage that with practices such as this. And so ultimately, Qigong interfaces, because it interfaces with the energy body, also has some impact at some point on all of our sources of energy. And so this is just a quick look at the energetic body from a TCM perspective. So in TCM, what we do see, the energy is actually carried throughout the body by meridians. Each meridian is named after an organ. You can see on the left, that is the front of the body. On the back, on the right is the back of the body. So these meridians run from the top of the head to the bottom of the feet throughout the entire body. And again, as we mentioned in one of the first slides, any kind of an imbalance is believed to be the source of any abnormal symptoms. So it's by treating these meridians with practices like Qigong or like acupuncture, it's by treating these meridians that what we're essentially doing is we are unblocking Qi that might be blocked. We are enhancing Qi that might be deficient, or whatever else might be happening with the Qi in a particular meridian. We're helping to bring that into balance and creating improved health and wellness. Another location of Qi or energy in the body from a TCM perspective is in these three energy centers. So these are known as the Dantian, the upper, the middle, and the lower Dantian. And they probably look very familiar because they look a heck of a lot like chakras, right? And not all of the chakras, but at least some of them. And so these three centers, these three energy centers represent in TCM is the bottom, the lower Dantian. We'll spend a lot of time actually in a resting posture in our Qigong practice with our hand just a little 2-finger widths below the navel. And that lower Dantian is our point of power and peace. It is the grounding that we focus on here. The middle Dantian is right at the heart center. That's our center of emotion, empathy, love, and compassion. And then the upper Dantian is, of course, right here, what we all also know as the third eye. And this is our point that is around higher intellect, spirituality. It's the gateway to divine transformation. And so together, these Dantian together with the meridians are the basic physical explanation or physical relationship, so to speak, between how we understand energy actually working in the body and how to treat it and how to work with it. So Qigong treats the energy body in a couple of ways, very similar to what we looked at when we were just looking at those meridians, by opening blockages that may be anywhere within the body, calming our energy, moving our energy, and calming the Shen. And Shen is the term for spirit. Shen is also in TCM housed in the heart. And so when healing happens, the heart is open, the mind is calm, and maybe most importantly, we take the practice into the day, because it's that ability, whether it's like just a quick visualization of the practice, whether it's connecting to the breath, whether it's just placing the hand on the heart or the lower Dantian, right, to bring that practice into the day, to actually shift that energy in a way that can allow you to be more balanced. That may actually be, at least in my experience, it's probably more important than the practice itself, is taking it into the day. And then Qigong for healing does include, we talked about the 4 different pieces, breathing. So we'll do some breath practice, some visualization, gentle movement is kind of the common thread throughout all. And then we'll spend a little bit of time with sound vibration. And so I do want to just take a second. I don't want to surprise you when we're in the middle of the practice and then all of a sudden I ask you to start making sounds. This way I figured you could actually hear the sound before and maybe perhaps practice as well, just to become familiar with what we're going to do towards the end of the movement practice. So what you see on the left are the organs. These are the yin organs, and that's in TCM, 5-element theory, those tend to be the organs that we focus on the most, and they are actually related to the sounds in that second column. And then I also just added the emotion, just because that emotional body and energetic body are really so closely intertwined, and the sounds in some ways kind of relate to the emotions as well. So lung is so if you want to try it wherever you are, just kind of to get the hang of it. So lung. And then if you wanted to go really deep, the reason we've got two there is you can change this to a zzz. And just when you make the sound, just see if you can feel it, not so much in the the upper throat, but more throughout the throat and even in the upper chest. So let's just do an S to a Z together once. So I know when I go from S to Z, I can feel that vibration really strongly in the chest. And kidney is that one you can't really hold because of the sound itself. So lung is grief and sadness, kidney is fear, and kidney is also the water element. So you can kind of hear that in this sound too, right? Liver is related to the anger emotion, and the sound is shh. I always think of that as like when a baby is cranky and we try to calm it with shh. And then spleen is worry, and the sound is whoo, whoo, which to me kind of sounds a little like somebody worrying. Whoo. And then finally, heart and joy, and this is totally appropriate, right? Ha. So it's really that second part of the sounds that we're going to be focusing on the most, right? That's what allows us to actually draw out the sound and connect to the vibration in our body. So let's just try ha one more time. Ha. Obviously, we could go on for a while, but so hopefully that was helpful, and hopefully you kind of get the hang of that. And I am now going to stop share. Got everybody back. Great. So I do want to once again just remind everybody, please make the practice your own. I will obviously be leading in a certain way. There will be some times when I'm asking you to do like a tap, and if that doesn't feel appropriate for you, just laying the hand somewhere on the body, wherever it happens to be that we are tapping, totally acceptable. Just listening and taking it all in another way, maybe for a future practice for you, also works. So again, please make the practice your own. I am going to adjust my computer because I'm going to step back a little bit. So okay, and Dr. Fortune, please let me know if for any reason you can't hear me. Hopefully it's all coming through.
Sounds good right now.
Great. Okay, so if everyone could just take a comfortable standing posture. We will be standing throughout the practice. However, if again, to make the practice your own, if you just you need to sit, or you are, for whatever reason, needing to be in a sitting posture, just modify that. So allow the feet to be a little less than hip distance apart. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start out with breathing, and first take our hands about 2 finger breaths below the navel onto that lower dantian. Just take a moment to feel, just feel that placement and connect to that placement in your body. Now we're going to breathe into and out from that lower dantian. The in-breath, you'll feel the lower abdomen expanding into the hands. And on the out-breath, you'll feel it relaxing. Breathe from that lower abdomen, from our point of power and peace. Power and peace. In TCM, the lower dantian is believed to be our source of physical strength, stamina, and stability. Take one more breath with your mind and your hands on the lower dantian. And then allow your hands to come to your heart center, that middle dantian in TCM. And whatever you're doing with your eyes is perfectly fine. If they're closed, if they're half closed, if they're open. And here you're breathing into and out from the heart center, feeling the movement of the chest. Our center of emotion, of empathy, of compassion. And if you could now just take a moment to set an intention for your practice today. Whatever that intention might be for you, might be something as simple as, I am peaceful and calm. Whatever your intention is, please repeat it 2 or 3 times to yourself. And if you can, allow an image to form that represents this intention, whatever that image is, just allow that to come up from the subconscious. Invite that image to practice QiGong with us. And now we'll go to the upper dantian, which is that point between the eyebrows. And what we'll do here, just to number one, acknowledge it, is just to take the tips of the fingers in between the eyebrows. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. Hopefully you can. And just move the fingers from the inner eyebrow out to the temples. I don't know about you, but me, certainly for me and for many people, let's do that again, in between the eyebrows, and then just kind of pulling those frown lines apart. That's what I was going to say. I don't know about you, but I got a little permanent line there that I love to think about how this dantian practice of just separating those lines just helps to remind us of our higher intellect and a feeling of expansion. And just allow your hands to come back down to the lower dantian. Just take a moment to see how you feel after that breathing practice. We'll go ahead and get started with our first movement practice. Just adjust this. Okay. So our first movement practice will begin with feet a little bit more than hip distance apart, connecting to the earth, focused on that lower dantian. And what we're going to do is we're going to move from the hips and the waist. So not really moving the shoulders. The shoulders, the arms will just kind of follow the hips and the waist. And what we're going to do for the first couple of practices, we're basically just going to be connecting to our chi. Sometimes we get actually disconnected from our chi, and this exercise can help us reconnect. And what we're going to do is just begin by twisting from the left to the right. And then on about the third or the fourth swing, you can allow your hands to open like this and tap your lower abdomen on the side. The area of your lower abdomen, but it'll be the side. So let me just give you a side view of me. So it's kind of here. Hopefully that's helpful. And again, allow the movement to come from the hips and the waist. And tap every time you get to the point where you can't twist anymore. Allow your hands to tap, tap, tap. There you go. The body's very relaxed and soft, and you're breathing, still breathing into that abdomen, into the lower abdomen. We're waking up the chi, connecting to the chi, and here we're connecting to the large intestine, we're connecting to the bladder meridians, and also the organs. Okay, and on the next turn, see if you can allow your hands to come up and tap on the bottom of the rib cage. So just a little bit higher here. Let me just, so I was down below. Now I'm a little bit higher. Tapping on the rib cage. And here we are actually waking up the chi in the liver, the spleen, the heart meridians and organs. Giving our body good energy. And of course, the bottom of the lungs, the bottom of the lungs. And now if you could allow your hands to make a somewhat loose fist, and on your next twist around, allow the fist to fall just under or just above the collarbone, just under the shoulder. So it's right here. It's just a little tap with a loose fist. And again, continue to breathe, this time breathing into the chest. These are longer, deeper breaths. Inhaling deeply into the lungs, and waking up the chi in the lungs. And now allow your hands to come back down to that lower abdominal area. Tapping at first, one last time on the lower abdominal area, the sides of the abdomen. And now, see if you could just allow the hands to flow out without touching the body, but continuing to twist. I always love this. It makes me feel like I'm 4 years old when I do this one. Softer movement without the touching. See if you could feel the subtle energy around you. As you twist from the waist, Continuing to connect to the breath and connect to the spirit here, our source of pure consciousness, and that bigger energy field we'll be continuing to cultivate as we move along. See if you can breathe into the heart and breathe out from the fingertips. And here, with that breath into the heart, out from the fingertips, we're clearing the energy field. Move a little bit slower, just allowing yourself to eventually come to a rest. Allow the hands to come to that lower dantian, again, our source of power and peace. It's always a place to return to if at some point during the practice you need to do this. It's always available. Just take a moment to notice how you're feeling. See where you are in your body. Allow the hands to come back up to the heart center, to our middle dantian. Connect to the heart. So the heart is in TCM, the center of the universe. And we're opening to the chi field all around it. See if you can dissolve the boundary between you and the universe. And in this moment, see if you can reconnect to your intention for the practice. And the image that came up for you. Allow your hands to come back down to that lower dantian. So we're going to do some more waking up of the chi by also waking up our spines, 7 movements of the spine from a QiGong perspective. So allow the hands to come to the front of the thighs, just palms resting on the front of the thighs. Feet a little more than hip distance apart, so a nice strong foundation. And knees relaxed, so with a little bit of bend in them if that's comfortable for you. And in the next in-breath, allow the hands to rise up and over the head. And then on the out-breath, stretch one arm up as high as you can, allowing the other to just kind of dangle. And then on the next in-breath, switch. And then just continue alternating with in-breath and out-breath. And just stretching up one side at a time, as high as you can. And see if you could feel that stretch. The stretch, perhaps you even feel the top of the head, the crown of the head reaching up closer to the ceiling. Perhaps you can feel space between the vertebrae. In QiGong, this exercise is also called picking the cherries. I can kind of visualize that. And then one more, pick one more cherry. And then just allow your hands to come back down to that dantian. Connect, notice, feel. Now allow the hands to come into soft fists again. Bring them up to the sides of the body. And on the in breath, we're going to arch the back, look up towards the ceiling, bend the knees slightly. And on the out breath, we are going to contract, we're going to sink. So we're going to bend the knees, we're going to pull the wrists together and the scapula apart. Just kind of, yeah, contracting and protecting ourselves. In breath, we're going to arch the back, open the spine, the heart, the mind, the body. We're connecting with that energy chi around us. And then on the out breath, we're bringing it in. We're sinking, we're protecting. Wrists and elbows together. The scapula separated. And just maybe 2 more of these. Opening up. Just feel the body opening up and then closing. Having an experience of the extreme of either one as a way to remind the body how to get back out of the extreme if and when that need arises. And then after this one sinking, allow your hands to come back to that lower dantian and take a moment to connect and notice. Now allow the hands to come down on either side of the thighs. And we'll do a movement that will involve moving from side to side. On the next in-breath, bring the right arm overhead and then just allow the body to move, to actually give in to gravity. On the in-breath, come up. And then allow gravity to take you to the other side. And then just flow with the breath from one side to the other. Feel the stretching of the side of the body. Inhale loving kindness. And see if you can connect one more time with your intention. Just a reminder of your intention. We're harmonizing and we're absorbing external good energy into the body. And then just allow yourself in the next out breath to just come to rest. Reconnect to the point of power and peace. We're going to take the right hand and we're going to place it on the back. So kind of twist it around and place the top of the hand on the back of the hip or wherever you can actually, depending on your reach. And then we're going to take the left hand, and what we're going to do here, let me get a little closer, is we're going to take the fingers and we're going to put the fingers on the rim of the ear. Now, why are we doing this? Because there are about 40 acupressure points that you are now touching on that particular part of the ear. So we're getting kind of a double practice here. We're getting an acupressure practice and a QiGong practice. And so what we're going to do on the next inhale is we're going to lead with the left elbow. We're going to move the left elbow towards the right side of the body. I'm going to turn so you can, I don't want to turn away from you. And then on the out breath, you're going to come back to that middle point. And then on your next in breath, you're going to lead with that left elbow again, twisting to the right. Come back on your out breath. And we'll do this one more time, twisting, twisting, twisting. And then just see if you can let that out, come back. Allow the hands to come back to that point of power, just quickly, because we'll do the same thing on the other side. So now we'll take the right hand, place it on the back of the body. We'll take the left hand, place it on the back of the body. Then we'll take the right hand and place the fingers on the rim of the ear. Okay. And now we'll take that right elbow and move towards the left on an in-breath. Out breath, come back to center. Your next in-breath, move to the left. And one more time. We'll take that right elbow, move it towards the left. And then allow the hands to come back down to that lower dantian. Take a moment to gather the chi. Just move the chi up and down the spine a bit, waking up the spine. Now allow the hands to come on either side of the thighs. And on the next in-breath, bring the arms parallel to the floor. Take an out breath here. And on the next in-breath, bend the elbows, the wrists, the knees, and bring the wrists into the shoulders. And on the out breath, you're going to do just the opposite. Spread the hands as far as you can, straighten the legs. In breath, bending, pulling towards the body, bending the knees. Out breath. This is called flying crane spreads its wings. You can kind of see why. You can look at us, we kind of look like a crane here on either side of our shoulders. This is probably the most common QiGong movement that I share with patients who I treat in the clinic, because probably 90% or more come in with anxiety and stress as a secondary or primary symptom. One more time. And this pushing away of things and energy that doesn't serve us, it allows us to visualize, to image the process, right? Coming into ourselves, kind of that crouching, sinking feeling, and then rising above it. Kind of like we did when we were doing the opening and closing of the spine. Whenever you're ready, you can just allow the hands to come back to that lower dantian. Flying crane spreads its wings is also a good standalone. Can do it almost anywhere. Okay, so now allow the hands to come rest on the thighs. And we're going to engage in a posture called Waterfall, where we will go, take the arms straight up and then back down in front of us, kind of pulling down the energy like a waterfall. So on the in-breath, allow the arms to come up overhead. Once they're up overhead, flip the palms to the back. And on the out-breath, slowly, intentionally, bring the hands down over the face, the body. Feel the energy settling. Now when you get to the legs, on the next in-breath, bring those arms back up again. Flip the palms. Slowly, intentionally, feel whatever isn't serving you, the energy that's not serving you, feel it, let go. One more time on the in-breath. Flip the palms. Allow the energy to flow over you and keep what serves you. Allow the hands to come back to your point of power and peace. Take a moment to just connect and notice. So we've been waking up our chi, moving our chi. Now we're going to spend the last part of our time together cultivating our chi. So allow the hands to come, rest on the fronts of the thighs. Connect to the breath at the lower abdomen. In breath and the out breath. On the next in breath, allow the arms to rise in front of you. And then on the out breath, allow the arms to open as you exhale, expand and release and gather new cooling energy. And now on the next inhale, take that energy into the brain, into the mind. Exhale, pull it down, down from the brain to the earth. Continue that cycle. On the exhale, expand the chi, release the old. Gather the new cooling energy into the brain. And then take that energy, now pull it down, down through the middle dantian, the lower dantian, into the earth. Becoming one with the universe. Allow the arms to come up in front again. Expanding. See if you can feel those shoulder blades almost touching. And then gathering that new cooling energy into the brain. Pulling the energy from the brain to the earth. Do that one more time. Opening. Expanding. Now we're gathering. And now we're grounding. I'm going to do this one more time. This time, On the last movement, we're going to actually do the sound of what's called the triple warmer, and it's a he sound. See if we can do that together. Coming down, he. So the triple warmer, allow the hands to just rest on the thighs. The triple warmer is not one that I shared in the 5 elements slide, but the triple warmer is actually a non-organ organ in TCM. And the triple warmer represents the relationship among all of the organs. It is believed that the triple warmer serves the same purpose as the parasympathetic nervous system, focused on relaxing us and getting all of our organs kind of in harmony. So I'm going to suggest, knowing that we just, before we move on to the 5 organ sounds, that we just spend a moment together with the vibration of he. So take an in-breath, and on our out-breath, we'll say he with a focus on the E part, and see if you can feel the vibration. See if you can feel it in the lower throat area and in the chest. So in-breath, and then he. Just one more time. In-breath and he. Take a moment. Come back to that point of power and peace. We have one last integration exercise in which we'll start with our hands in front here, and we'll take one hand up to the brain, and then what we're going to do is just continue to move from the lower dantian to the upper dantian, bringing the energy into the brain, the spine, and the nervous system. Kind of refining that energy that you just cultivated. And then just returning to that lower dantian. And just taking a moment to sense what's going on inside and around you. Calming the mind in the dantian. Okay, we'll end now with a light tapping practice and the 5 organs. And again, if tapping isn't available to you right now, please just feel free to place the hand on whatever part of the body we're working with. I'm going to get a little closer. So we are going to start out with the lung, and the lung point is here. And our tapping, you can do flat hands, you can do a light fist, you can do kind of a scrunched up finger, so you got a little bit more of a pointed focus. You might want to experiment with different ways of tapping and see what feels best to you. So we'll start with the lung point and just, again, light tapping. And the sound is S. We'll go from S to Z. S. S. And see if you could feel that vibration. One more breath with the lung. S. Allow that to come to rest. Now we'll bring our hands to the lower back, which is the kidney. So right here, you can bend over if that helps. If you want to sit to do this one, tapping with flat hands or fists, again, whatever feels right to you. And kidney is choo, 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 the water sound. Choo, choo. And again, remember, kidney is fear. See if you can allow it to process any energy you have around fear. Choo, choo, choo. Now we'll move on to liver, which is under the right side of the rib cage. And tap however works for you. The sound for liver is sh, 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 sh. The emotion of liver is anger. So again, see if you can allow the energy, any energy you have around anger, to be processed here. Spleen is on the other side, under the left side of the rib cage. And so again, tapping the spleen. And the sound of spleen is ooh, ooh. And the emotion of spleen is worry. Ooh. And then finally, the heart. The heart sound is ha. Ha. And if you feel like laughing, joy is the emotion of the heart. I always love to end with this one. Ha. And you can obviously hear that vibrating in me, so hopefully you can hear that for yourself too. Now just allow the tapping at the heart center to come to rest. Take just a moment to connect one more time with your intention, the heart center. I'm going to suggest that we take the palm of one hand and place it on the top of the head, palm of the other hand right over that. We're on GV20, which is one of the most grounding points in the body. Just did a lot with our energy, and it might be helpful to just press on this point. Maybe even with a little bit more force as you exhale, just as a way to ground and further balance all the processing of energy that we've done while we've been together today. One last set of acupuncture points is spleen 21, which is under the armpits. This is always a great way to end too, because we can give ourselves a hug. Touch is important, and even just simple touch like this. Take a minute to reconnect with your intention and your image. And I hope that you can take this practice into your day. Thank you. And I don't know if we have a couple minutes. If anybody has questions, we might have 1 minute, it looks like. Does anybody have any questions for me?